Welcome everybody, this is Bob Bitchin66, today with another video that's a little different than my normal. We're going to be driving Camaro Z28 production muscle cars. So very different handling from my normal Group 3 and Group 4 race cars. I was able to qualify 4th here at Maggiore, and it's going to be a pretty good race. So coming off here at the bat, we're going to notice a lot of things. One, this car is a lot slower, so that means that we're going to get a little bit more technical of a look at how we're supposed to handle these cars. So coming into the first turn, it's a little bit of a horseshoe, as I like to call it. I come in on the inside, try to stay away from the carnage that a lot of people are probably going to get shunted from, and come on the outside of that, out of it, just so I can get a good amount of exit speed as we come into this left turn right here. And it's not too deep of a turn, you're able to kind of floor it through. And this is where the production car is really going to show, is that you need to really utilize your shifting as well as thinking about how much weight you're throwing around the car. This isn't some ride height dropped all the way like a race car and aerodynamically present. So you'll see that best coming into this turn here. It's a long bank, and you'll see I actually slide a bit, get a little bit of that smoke, and you see like 7th place right there. Definitely just flew it right out. A lot of people want to just break into the turn, but you're not realizing how heavy the car actually is. So still hanging out in 4th here, and we come into this section of S's. And really what I'm trying to do here is, because there aren't going to be many huge moments where I'm going to be able to make a pass, it's really going to be about utilizing the slipstream and using that to grab a position. So I'm really trying to hang on to 3rd place here, Joe DeSnow, and trying to pull on the outside here. We're going to be coming into a hard hairpin, and unfortunately I never could really figure out when to brake on this. And you see I go in a little late, he actually bumps into me, so he had a little bit of an issue braking into that turn as well. But we came out okay, no penalties, everything was fine. I was able to grab 3rd position, so I'm not too bummed about it, but he is right out of my tail. So that's one lap down. And you'll see here coming into the first turn again on the 2nd lap, really trying to just get behind the slipstream of the red Camaro in front of me. And yeah, it's a lot slower of a race, and really it makes you think about the weight of cars and how it really affects when you're driving race cars especially. In race cars, you're able to go to at least like the 100-meter mark when it comes to braking into a turn. And with production cars, I typically like to be very safe with my shifts. I'm not, machine gun shifting down from 6th to 3rd in a matter of seconds. I'm really utilizing the power band in this car and trying to get the most out of the gear. So you see I downshift into 2nd here so I can get a lot more out of the power band coming up this hill, and hoping that the car on my left is either 1, running automatic, so it probably put him into 3rd gear, or he's just not thinking to shift like that. So it gets me a lot of power, but he does kind of shunt me out a bit. He plays really good defensive, and my trick coming out of these S's right here is to hold as much speed as I can, because I can ride the outside boundary a little bit right there and then be able to get a straight line right up here into this section. This is what is a really good passing opportunity, because the hairpin's going to have a lot of questionable turns going into it. So I come in a little inside, I go too far deep inside, and he's going to get the perfect chance to get a cutback on me. So definitely the late apex looks like it seems to be the strongest way to go about this turn. You'll notice that I never take the late apex, but going into halfway now through this race, and I'm sitting in 3rd place still, hoping to grab at least one more position. I think at this point 1st place is pretty far away. He's gonna have to really make a screw up, so hugging the inside, really trying to play defensive with Joe DeSnow behind me. And I try to get the outside line here so I can come in with more speed. Unfortunately, because he took the inside line, you see how his car slid a bit. That's gonna make him essentially just be like he might as well have slammed on his e-brake, and I get a little bit of taps going into his back. But nothing too crazy. We got a good line right here. All 3 of us are on the same page. So yeah, 1st place taking off into this bank turn. As you'll see, he took the late apex right there, as I'm going to try to do, because this gets me a good line coming out front. I play defensive a bit on Joe DeSnow, try to hug the inside because I know it's what he's going to go for, and last thing I want is to get T-boned. So I'm able to get a good amount of speed coming out of that turn, and I go for a move on 2nd place. I noticed in the 2nd lap that he had a little bit of an issue on that turn right there, so I try to go inside. He does play defensive on it though, and I am just going to follow my lines coming through these S's. See, I push the track boundary right there, get my straight line slightly over the curb, and hopefully be able to grab just enough speed to get past him. It's going to be all up to this turn. So I come in, Joe DeSnow right behind me. We're both going at it. I hug the inside, and I actually get a really good line out of that. Not the most speed, but I am going to play defensive, and I have Joe DeSnow to thank for that as well. So Joe DeSnow is actually going to grab the second place spot right there, and we're essentially almost going 3 wide, as fourth place will have that 1 second penalty to deal with. I'm not too sure what he did. He must have cut the track or something. But I go for a late brake maneuver, come in a little bit on the outside. I'm luckily able to play defensive to his late apex, and I'm going to follow just around the outside. I'm going to try to, you see I straighten the wheels a bit, try to counter steer and get enough speed coming out. And that's going to get me a good enough boundary for this final lap, playing full defensive on Joe here. As you see, fourth place is going to serve as penalty now, so he's not really my main concern right now. A lot of people still getting the hang on these muscle cars, apparently. And the big bang turn is where I'm really nervous, so I try to hug the outside here. I keep my line because I know he's going to go inside, but unfortunately, because this is a hill, and I'm sure that he's possibly not thinking to go into second gear right here, he's going to have a little bit more trouble getting up with a good amount of speed. So I actually go in third gear through that whole section, but it felt smooth. I got a good amount of speed out of that line. As I come into these S's, I'm really just going to hold that third gear right there. Joe DeSnow gets a little squirrely, goes inside a bit, and that luckily is going to help me out a lot as we come into this last turn here. He gets a half a second penalty on that. And I got a good enough gap here, and I'm at this point obviously very nervous. I try to hug the inside a bit on defensive. I get a big tap from him. I'm unfortunately going right into the grass. I'm luckily enough though able to get out of that grass unscathed relatively. Just going to try to hug the slipstream as much as I can and pretty much hope that this penalty is within half a second of the distance to me. So coming there, I am able to grab second place even though I am crossing the line in third. And this week is a short but sweet, but nevertheless always a win for me when I'm grabbing podium. So thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you next week on the track.